It's time for Point of View with Ms. Shirley Polk. I'd like to keep the whole world to sing a simple melody. Good morning, good evening, good night, good midday, whichever it is for you, wherever you are. Hello, hello, hello. And I am live right now, and I am so thankful to God. This is Thursday. It is the 12th, no, it's the 13th of March in the year 2025. This is Point of View, and I am Ms. Shirley Polk. Polk. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. And God, I ask you to touch all of those under the sound of my voice, wherever they are, whenever it is. Touch, heal, deliver, set free, supply every need according to your riches and glory by Christ Jesus, and save their souls if they're not saved. Amen. Okay. I'm so happy that you're here with me. Lying, embellishing, misstating, exaggerating, alternative facts. What's the difference? What harm can it do? Oh, this is full today. I have been bothered because I have heard more than once someone that I am acquainted with lie, and it wouldn't be so I would say troubling if it were someone that I didn't expect not to lie, or someone that it seems that anything goes. But when it's someone that holds a reputation of being upstanding, I'm not saying the person's not, but when you hear a person lie and you hear them more than once, then that's troubling to me. That's troubling to me. So I try my best not to dwell on things, but then I know how to just go in and try to find some answers for myself and then for someone else who would be thinking of something like this too. So we're going to talk about liars, embellishers, and this alternative fact. You know about that, don't you? It came up back in, I think it was, what was it, 2012, I believe. I will get to that alternative fact, and it was just outright non-truth, a lie. And people try to dress it up in every way they can. So, what is the difference between embellishing and lying? The difference between embellishing and lying. I have that here. So, let me get it because I have so much information here. I hope I'll be able to get through all of it. But if I don't, that's okay. God willing, we'll have more time next time. But I want to get this, the difference. Let me see. Here it is. What's the difference between lying and embellishment? So let me get this. The difference. Okay. Answers.com. What is the difference between lying and embellishment? Hiding not always connote lying, okay? Not always connote lying. Let me pull this on up. I had it pulled up. I'm going to, okay. Now, lying involves deliberately. Lying involves deliberately stating something untrue with the intent to deceive, while embellishment involves adding extra details or exaggerating certain aspects of the truth to make a story more interesting. The difference, but that does that make it a lie? What do you think? Lying involves deliberately stating something untrue with the intent to deceive, while embellishment involves adding extra details or exaggerating certain aspects of the truth to make a story more interesting. Good evening, Lady Patsy. I'm so glad you're here with me. We have a good one today. Oh, yes. So I'm going to, like I said, I have several, but I'm going to go ahead and dig into this. I have 13 signs that you're dealing with a chronic liar, surviving the chronic liar, 5 things to do. You know, these things, what can happen? There are some terrible results and things that can happen because of a lie. And we know people have lost their lives because someone lied about something. We know all about that. We've heard of it. And then we found out that, I mean, just a life wasted or relationship down the drain because somebody told something that was not true. Hello, Auntie Barbara. Thank you so much for being with me. And my other here is, when do exaggerations and misstatements cross the line? When the exaggerations and misstatements cross the line. And then there's that alternative facts. You remember when that came out? That alternative facts. You remember that lady Kellyanne Conway? I think she was the was she the press secretary? No, she was an advisor, I think, to Trump at that time. And the alternative fact, when there was a lie told about the number of people that showed up for something that was going on there, and it just was a terrible lie. And then she tried to dress it up. Alternative facts. That's what she called it. Alternative facts. So it said alternative facts was used by U.S. Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway, during a press interview on January 22nd, 2017, in which she deferred or defended White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer's false statement about the attendance numbers at Donald Trump's first inauguration as President of the United States. When pressed during the interview with Chuck Todd to explain why Spicer would utter a provable falsehood, Conway stated that Spicer was giving alternative facts. Well, I tell you, Todd responded, "Look, alternative facts are not facts, they're falsehoods." So Conway's use of the phrase alternative facts for demonstrable falsehoods was widely mocked on social media and sharply criticized by journalists and media organizations, including Dan Rather, Jill Abramson, and the Public Relations Society of America. The phrase was extensively described as Orwellian, particularly in reference to the term doublethink. With 4 days of the interview, Within 4 days of the interview, sales of George Orwell's novel 1984 had increased 95-fold, which the New York Times and others attributed to Conway's use of the phrase, making the number one bestseller on Amazon.com. Alternative facts. Hello, Brother McCollisher. Thank you for being with me. We're talking about some people tell so many, and you know, when we were little, we weren't allowed to say lie, and here I still hesitate, and I'm past what is it, 3 score and 10, and I still hesitate when saying that word because ooh, we get in trouble. Don't say lie. We might get hit across the lip or something. And we say, telling a story. Mama, Daddy, they telling a story on me. They're telling a story on me. How many of you remember that? Oh my goodness, we couldn't say it then. Okay, so now got that alternative facts out of the way. And alternative fact is just a lie, just like all the rest of the lies. Okay, now into this, and there are people that are dangerous, dangerous. There are consequences to lying, and we know that some terrible things have happened because people have told things that they shouldn't tell. Let me close this camera because I do not want to be seen today. I am not spruced up. Okay, so 8 psychological effects of being lied to and why people lie. And this is from Learning Mind. Learningmind.com. Learning-mind.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Chris. Hi, Chris. So happy you're with me today. 8 psychological effects of being lied to. And as I was stating in the beginning, someone that I'm acquainted with, I mean, it was just so easy for that person to say something that wasn't true. And you know, when you're close to a person and you hear this the first time, you say maybe that was a misstatement. I'm going to get into the misstatement too. Then when it happens a second time, you say that is not the truth. So if it happened once, you kind of say, maybe I give some leeway. Maybe not. Maybe that was a mistake on that person's part. But when it happens again and it's so smooth and easy for that person, then you got to start thinking about that, especially when you've seen actions that have been taken by this person in the past. Okay, so now it's all adding up. 8 psychological effects of being lied to and why people lie. And why people lie. And this is by Jamie Davies. And this was in 2022, May 15th, 2022. And this is dealing with psychology and mental health. So we've heard of people telling all kinds. What is that movie about where these people had this town and it was a progressive town? It was people of our persuasion. Rosewood. That's what it was. And this lady, she was having a encounter with someone of her own kind, her own race. And when she got caught, something happened. Then she lied on a person of our persuasion. And you know what I'm talking about, the African persuasion. And I know we're American, Indian, African, we're all mixed up, but we have to the most part, we're African descendants of Africa. Okay, so she told this lie and they destroyed the whole town and many of the people on the run. Okay, all right. So we know about Rosewood. It was all because of a lie. And so many people of every persuasion, every ethnic background have lost their lives, their livelihood, their reputations because of a lie. Now, let me get into it. Did you know that the long term effects of being lied to can seriously damage our mental well being? Whether you have been told you're a bum, and so this sounds like it's English, doesn't it? Your bum doesn't look big in that outfit, or your partner has been unfaithful behind your back. We have all been lied to at some point in our lives, and some of us have done the deed ourselves, haven't we? Okay, now, arguably, a little white lie designed to protect your feelings is much different from an out and out fib from a cheating spouse. Or is it? Hmm. They tell me a lie is a lie. Research suggests it is not the trivial nature or the importance of the lie. We suffer the psychological effects of being lied to, no matter what the lie is. And the 8 psychological effects of being lied to are coming right now. Number one, you lose trust, and that's a fact. You lose trust. Trust, whether intimate or professional, is crucial to maintaining any relationship. Catching someone out in a lie erodes that trust. It certainly does. With me, it does. It erodes that trust. And don't we try to give the benefit of a doubt? And sometimes we try to our detriment. And we know, okay, now this is the fifth time, this is the sixth time. Now, sometime or another, we ought to get the message, shouldn't we? And start leaning toward doing something different, okay? So, you may forgive them once, even twice. However, if it becomes habitual, it slowly changes the relationship, doesn't it? Oh, yes, it does. So, whereas before you automatically believed this person, now you begin looking for lies. You certainly stop confiding in them. After all, they can't be trusted. So, this is one of the most sound effects of the being lied to. And sometimes people just keep saying, okay, I'm gonna tell you this. Don't do them. They just keep trusting people. See, these are psychological effects. Okay. So number two, you lose faith in the person or the system. And that really hurts when you lose faith in a person or even lose faith in a system. And I'm pretty sure many of us have lost what little faith we did have in the system. It's eroding even much more right now, depending on what system it is. And then you lose faith in the person when a person just tells you something and they're wishy-washy. They tell you this and the next day they're telling you something different. So we all know about that, don't we? Number two, you lose faith in the person, uh, the system. One study in particular highlighted the impact of lying from political leaders or managers to the general public. Participants scored their trust levels after a lie was revealed, okay? Participants scored their trust levels after a lie was revealed. The results showed, perhaps unsurprisingly, what participants were less likely to trust the person who lied. So, unsurprisingly, we know when we hear somebody tell it and they tell it over and over again, then hey, we lose trust, we lose faith in those people. So, the study also examined how participants felt about the type of lie told. For example, did the lie benefit the country or the company, or was the lie for personal gain? The study showed that trust levels were lowest when the lie benefited the person. And I can understand that, can't you? Number three, you feel disrespected. Now, this is for real. You feel disrespected because I know one time I did something and I know what place in line I did that. And then someone came along and said somebody else did it before I did it, and I knew the facts about it. And that made me feel disrespected by that person. Now, because I felt disrespected, I didn't lose my self respect, okay? There's a difference. Number three, you feel disrespected honestly. In a relationship, it shows honesty, shows a level of respect. You are able to share views that may differ, but it doesn't change the way you feel about that person. You value the person enough to be honest with them. You are confident enough to trust them. Okay? So, we all deserve the truth. However, upsetting it might be to hear it. We all deserve the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. For real. It stings. Sometimes it feels like somebody, what is it, ran you through with a spear. The truth hurts, but it's better to have the truth now and be able to deal with it, okay? We all deserve the truth, however upsetting it might be to hear it. Once you know the truth, you can make an informed decision. For example, do you want to stay in the relationship? If someone lies to you, it shows a lack of responsibility from them to face any consequences. All right? The lack of ability to face any consequences. So, number four, you question other relationships. Being lied to has a knock on effect on your other relationships. Perhaps other people in your life are telling you porkies. I like that. Telling you porkies, and you are naive enough to believe them. You start to second guess or scrutinize people when they talk to you. I remember, and I don't understand why people want to just, I mean, some people are professionals are just outright lying. They could open their mouth and they could be telling a lie. So let me tell you this. When I worked at Johnson and Johnson, there was a man there, and so he looked so dignified, and he would sit at the break table, and he would have his pipe in his mouth, and he would be reading a paper. Well, he would have a newspaper, so I guess he was reading it. And one day, that man told me that he made his teeth. And so I told somebody, I said, he told me he made his teeth. And they said, oh, that man be lying. But why would I call the man a liar? And he told me he made his teeth. So why would I not believe that he made his teeth? There's a possibility that people can make their own teeth. So I believed the man. But that person said he's a liar. Now that's what on me, okay? So does their story seem plausible? Do the facts need checking? Is this yet another person you have to confront? You become suspicious of the people you used to trust, all because someone else lied to you. Those lies can have a lasting effect, can't they? So, number five, you are on high alert, and you should be. Yes, you should. Trust allows an easygoing state in a relationship. When you fully trust your partner, you can relax, knowing that whatever happens, you'll get the truth. Lying has the opposite effect. It has the opposite effect. Instead of a state of calm, the effects of lying put you in a perpetual high alert. Hello, Linda. Thank you for being with me. It changes your actions. You may become suspicious of everything they say. Have you ever been in that state where you caught them in a lie one, two, three times, maybe four or five times, and every time they say something, you're suspicious of them? Everything they say. You might start checking up on them, looking at their text messages or internet browsing history. You know, we can do that these days, but nah. Number six, you question yourself. Now, this is where it gets sticky when you start questioning yourself, okay? Because remember, a liar will gaslight too. A liar will turn it around and blame his or her lying on you and have you thinking that it's your fault that they told the lie. So be careful, okay? Number six, you question yourself. Being repeatedly lied to saps our self esteem. Why is this person lying? Why do they think they can get away with it? Why do they disrespect you so much? These sorts of questions eat away at your confidence. And they hurt too. Is there something wrong with you that causes people to act this way around you? You start to feel devalued and a fool for believing them in the first place. Number seven, you are easily triggered in future relationships. We're talking about the effects of lying, the psychological effects of being lied to. Number seven, you are easily triggered in future relationships. And this stuff does carry on. And I know every one of you listening to me can attest to that. And I like to say concur, all right? You can concur with me, okay? So if a significant other has lied to you in the past, it makes you suspicious about future partners. After all, you trusted this person and they fooled you. How can you be sure this won't happen again? Well, like Mama say, yeah, whatever the P's and Q's are. Does anybody know what the P's and Q's are? Mom and Daddy, stay on your P's and Q's. Stay on your P's and Q's. What's the P and what's the Q? But anyway, they say stay on top of it. Pay attention. Okay, I know that's what it means, but what does the P stand for? What does the Q stand for? I haven't found that out yet. Okay, number eight, you start to lack empathy around people. You start to lack empathy around people. The long term effects of being lied to eventually make you immune to people's feelings. You get hardened by tales of woe that you suspect and are not true. Your compassion and empathy diminish over time. You may also start to put barriers up. You don't want to know about people's problems if there is a possibility they are lying. And we know that we've seen so much. Even if you just go to get some gas, or go to get some groceries, or go somewhere to buy something, there's someone there around. Not saying that everybody doesn't need something, but there's someone there to deceive someone, try to get your money so they can do whatever they want to with it. And then some people have the audacity to get upset if you don't have it. If you don't have it, there's so many deceptive practices in this world today, so you just really have to be, here I go, on your P's and Q's. Why do people lie if it has such a detrimental effect? Why do people lie if it has such a detrimental effect? Clearly, being lied to has a detrimental psychological effect on us. But that's not all. One study showed that lying less is associated with better health. My goodness. So, why do people lie and what can we do about it? Psychologist Dr. Paul Ekman is an expert on lying. Dr. Ekman is ranked number 15 of the most influential psychologists of the century. He also helped to discover the micro expressions that body language experts use to detect lies. Dr. Ekman says that people lie for the following reasons, and here we go: to avoid the consequences of their actions. Now, this is the most common reason for lying: to avoid punishment, to avoid conflict, or to avoid rejection. And then for personal gain is the next one. This is the second most popular reason people lie: in order to obtain something that they would not normally get. And I'm going to ask you if you would share this with all your people on your page, please. Next, to protect someone. You often see children telling lies to protect their siblings from parental abuse. Yeah, and that's a hard one, isn't it? Next, to protect oneself from harm. This is not about avoiding punishment. For example, a woman home alone may say her partner is with her to an unwanted, threatening presence at the door to make yourself look good. And the other day, just the other day, there's a person. I think there must be one of those halfway houses. Well, I'm sure there are several here in the neighborhood, and there's one young man that I see quite often. And so he asked me a question: "Is your son still living with you? Is your son still living with you?" His car is still here. Is your son? And I told him everything's the same, and let him go on about his business. It's no business whether someone is living with here with me or not, because he's the same one that opened my screen door one time and knocking on my door. And so I'm very careful, and I thank God for safety in the neighborhood in the Oak Cliff. Hey, Oak Cliff. And I was telling someone, just mentioning yesterday, that I was living in Oak Cliff, and we in Denison, when we hear Channel 8 News, we'd hear something about Oak Cliff. Oak Cliff, and most of the time it was bad. And when Ella Davis and I got married to each other and I moved here, I didn't know for a little while that I was living in Oak Cliff. And I'm thankful to God. He's been good to me in Oak Cliff, and I thank him for his protection. Now, let me go on. So, to make yourself look good, some people lie to make themselves look good. People may exaggerate their abilities to make up stories to win admiration from others. Next, protecting the other person's feelings. For example, saying you have a prior engagement to get out of going to a boring party. The next one, hiding something embarrassing. Sometimes we tell lies to cover up an embarrassing incident. You've heard people say, "Oh, I bumped into the door. Oh, I ran into this and I bit my car," or different things like that. We've heard many things, and we've seen examples of things, we watch TV and all of that. So to keep something private, we may lie to prevent people from knowing our business. For example, not telling people your wife is pregnant because the couple wants to wait. Next, to gain power and control. Dr. Ekman believes this is the most dangerous reason for lying and uses Hitler's propaganda as an example. Oh my goodness, to gain power and control, and people don't mind. Hi, Velma. Oh, I've been missing you. Hi, Velma. Thank you for being with me. Final thoughts on this one. This is learning-mind.com, and it's talking about psychological effects of being lied to. Sometimes merely understanding why a person lies can counteract the effects of lying. However, there can be no doubt that there are psychological effects of being lied to that can have serious consequences on our mental health. And I believe that is true. So instead of putting up with habitual liars, surround yourself with people that you trust and make you feel good about yourself. Do that, okay? All right, let's go to our next one. That was really good. That was really, really good. Okay, you've heard of chronic liars? 13 signs that you're dealing with the chronic liar. And then we also have, I'm not going to do that one today. We talked about the alternative truth. Oh, well, yeah. Oh my goodness. Here it is. Psychology Today. You know, this is one of my favorite sites. And this is by Padraig Gibson, D. Psych. Escaping our mental traps. And talking about deception, the psychology and lying and impact of lying and self deception. Now we're talking about self deception because when a person lies to you, do you think they believe everything they say? Do you think they've gotten to a point where they've told so many lies till they believe them themselves? I believe that's sometimes true. Psychology and impact of lying and self-deception. Lying is often natural, but it can become pathological. And this was written in January 2024, on the 29th of January, and Abigail Fagan reviewed this. Key points here that we're going to talk about today is lying affects self-esteem. We just did that, didn't we? I am so thankful. God never ever lets me get anything that doesn't agree with what He has me talking about. It all works together, and I am so thankful. Lying affects self esteem and emotions, leading to negative psychological consequences. And then the next point here is self deception shapes reality, influencing choices and beliefs both positively and negatively. The next point, awareness of the cost of lying can lead to more honest, healthier communication practices. So if a person owns up to it, if they realize and if they acknowledge the fact that they do lie, then there is a chance of hope for them. The essence of lying is in deception, not in words. A lie may be told by silence, by equivocation, by the accent on a syllable, by a glance of the eyes, attaching a peculiar significance to a word, and in countless other ways. And St. Augustine said that, and that is so true. Sometimes people don't have to say a word, but they can lie with their eyes, can't they? Oh, yes. So this is a two-part series, and in the first, we're going to deal with the complexity of lying and self-deception. This is serious. This is really serious. The psychology of lying is a complex and contradictory field, and the process is significant for our survival. Important emotional and social costs of deception have been revealed recently in studies. You see, I always aim at the studies, the research, all of that, because I want the facts to be right. Okay? Well, the fact is right, but I want it to be clear. I'll say it like that. So, important emotional and social costs of deception have been revealed recently in studies on nature and the fabric of our societal interactions. In psychotherapy and psychological treatment, the therapeutic effect of expectations has been repeatedly studied, and it turns out that expectation is a significant factor influencing the outcome of psychological treatments. And the effectiveness of therapy is built on the expectation by the patient that it will work. So, researchers are even looking into ways to evoke and encourage this kind of helpful self deception. Okay? Helpful self deception. All right. Many types of lying also involve self deception. That means fooling yourself, whether it's justifying our choices or shaping our reality to fit our desires and play an important role in how we perceive and interact with the world around us. In evolution, the art of deception, more commonly known as lying, is described in Aesop's fable, The Fox and the Grapes. I think all of us have read that, haven't we? The Fox and the Grapes. The fox, known for being clever, is used to show a common specific form of deception. The story goes that the fox essentially tries to reach some grapes but can't, and in the end, the fox gives up and walks away, saying the grapes weren't that good anyway, an experience we can all probably relate to. This mental trick of downplaying something we can have is common. It's a common form of helpful self deception. And I think probably all of us have done that. If it was something that we wanted, we couldn't get it. And just like the fox would say, well, it probably wasn't for me anyway. I probably wouldn't have even looked right in that dress or those shoes or that suit. Have you ever done that before? We can justify why, even though we're disappointed, we can justify why. And the fox said, hey, probably weren't for me, weren't good anyway. Okay? So he walks away saying, the grapes weren't that good anyway. So we can all relate to that. So this mental trick of downplaying something we can't have is a common form of helpful self-deception. So it helps to eliminate the frustration of not getting what we want. The fact that the clever fox is the main character demonstrates how self deception can be useful for avoiding the discomfort of unmet desires. Logically, it's about deciding to believe a comforting lie instead of a painful truth. And so he couldn't get them. So he just said they probably weren't that good anyway. So we can justify, can't we? So the process is also essential for survival. Oh yes, it is. Justified for survival. I understand that. And social interaction. So after all, having spent hours cooking a meal for you, that the meal was not enough or not to you. Let me see here. Something's going on here. Let me check this font here. I might have it too big. I might have it. Okay, there we go. Now, here we go. Let me get back up here and do this. Okay. The process, I'm going to start right here again, is essential for survival and social interaction. So after all that we're talking about that self-deception. After all, who wants to tell their partner or best friend who is thrilled with themselves having spent hours cooking a meal for you that the meal was not to your taste and barely edible? Do we all tell a good lie rather than accept a painful truth at times? In prehistoric eras, where physical survival was the primary objective, the ability to deceive a predator or a rival could mean the difference between life and death. For real, for real. And today, many times, it could be. So, this aspect of lying as a survival tool is widely recognized in evolutionary biology and is essential in the process of finding a mate and competition for resources, even to this day. Even to this day. So, the clothes and makeup we wear, the way we speak, and the things we pay attention to in the conversations with ourselves and others are all subtle forms of messaging or massaging reality to our liking and our advantage, whether we like to believe it or not. Because I know you're attentive to conversations that you're a part of, and you're examining every word because of past experiences. You're examining every word, you're watching the body language, the expressions, how they express this word. Yes, we do that. We do that. And we do it because we've gotten used to doing it. So, hey, it's just a natural thing with us now. Life teaches us certain things, and that's a good thing in many, many cases. So, this can be observed in certain professions and even in forms of psychological treatment. In some therapies, whether the patient gets better or not, either outcome can be justified by the therapist as having an explanation based on the model of therapy, and in that case, either way, their theory or model wins. So, this is a form of non falsifiable reality in which the reality proves itself and their preferred reality remains intact. My goodness, this is super. Then there's social change. As humans moved to more complex social structures, the role of lying became more intricate as it began to serve as a tool for resource acquisition. An individual proficient in the art of deception might secure a larger share of resources, enhancing their chances of survival, promotion, and reproduction. This perspective is well observed in evolutionary psychology, which suggests that deceptive behaviors could be favored in certain competitive contexts and even promoted in capitalist societies. Social scientists and evolutionary psychologists argue that this aspect of lying even plays a significant role in the development of social cognition and could be a driving force behind the evolution of human intelligence. And I know this is quite a lot of information, but it really makes sense to us. To me, it really makes sense. There's so much in this lying and why people lie, the effects it has on you being lied to, and what they get out of lying to you, and what their psyche is while they're lying to you. Okay? So, self fulfilling prophecies. The self fulfilling prophecy, a term first coined by sociologist Robert K. Merton in 1957, is a prediction that causes a prophecy itself to become true due to the positive feedback between belief and behavior. So, in other words, a fictitious belief about a situation evokes a new behavior, which makes the originally false belief come true. Now, see, that's where I part ways, okay, with this explanation. Because if it's false in the beginning, it's false in the end. That's the way I see it. If it's false, it's false, and it cannot be justified. I don't care if 99.9% of the people believe a lie and say it's the truth, that 1%, 0.1% still believes it's a lie. And just because the majority believes that a lie is true, and because they believe it, they can make it true, it still does not make it true. A lie is a lie, wherever, whenever it's told, okay? All right, I part ways with this. So, in other words, a fictitious belief about a situation evokes a new behavior, which makes the originally false belief come true. Uh-uh. So Merton's concept has been widely influential and is a key concept in the sociology of knowledge, showing how beliefs and perceptions, whether true or false, can shape social reality. Is particularly relevant in understanding social dynamics where people's expectations and self-deceptions about others can lead to those expectations being realized. So we also see this in contexts like the placebo effect in medicine, where believing in a fake or sugar pill can make you feel better. So this is even used particularly or practically, by pharmaceutical companies to market male and female pills in different colors after altering their effectiveness based on gendered color expectations. My goodness. You hear that? It's used practically by pharmaceutical companies to market male and female pills in different colors, altering their effectiveness based on gendered color expectations. My goodness. They're in their lives and educational settings. A study known as Pygmalion in the classroom is a seminal text in educational psychology. And Rosenthal and Jacobson did this in 1968. Rosenthal and Jacobson told teachers that some of their students were expected to be intellectual bloomers based on a fictitious test. Despite the test being non predictive, the students who were labeled as bloomers showed significant academic improvement over time, attributed to the change in the teacher's expectations and behaviors towards these students. That's exactly what I was saying. Because some people, it changes that person's attitude toward you. And we know how it is, how people favor people when they hear something, and even how if a person is uh, prosperous and financially, or uh, in the world as famous and all of that, that changes people's attitudes towards people. It really does. And so they were saying that these students will be good at this, and then the teacher's attitude towards those students changed and became more favorable towards the students, and so they helped the students more, and so that caused the students to be more encouraged. Okay, so this is what this is saying. This work had a profound impact on education And it highlights the importance of teacher expectations and student performance, and there are numerous more that have shown this. Numerous more. Oh my goodness. And then we go to self deception. Self deception isn't only about positive beliefs, it can be negative too, like a paranoid state, believing that nobody cares about you. Our past experiences have a big impact on our self deception, and that's for real. We all can relate to that. How things have happened in the past, what kind of relationships we had in the past, what kind of people we dealt with, and that's relationships sometimes too. And even sometimes you can have a dealing with the person at one time or another, one time, and you'll never forget that experience. Self deception isn't only about positive beliefs, it can be negative too, like in a paranoid state, believing that nobody cares about you. Our past experiences, and I know I'm repeating this, okay, have a big impact on our self deception. For instance, someone with lots of insecurities might see every situation as proof that they're not worthy. Recent psychological studies have cast new light on this age old behavior, revealing the hidden emotional and social costs of deception. And there was a pivotal study in the British Journal of Social Psychology in 2024 that found that manipulatively lying to others, regardless of its purpose, leads to a decrease in self esteem and an increase in negative emotions for the person telling the lie. Then we have the social connections and deception. 2 minutes left. Complementing these emotional aspects, another study focused by lying's and on lying's impact on social relationships. Researchers analyzed a large data set of naturalistic conversations, part of the Candor corpus, to understand how deception affects interpersonal connections. Candor corpus, that means casual analysis using natural language and domain ontologies for requirements. Okay? Now, it's a specialized data set designed to use in natural language processing, particularly in the field of requirements engineering. This corpus is designed to aid in the extraction and analysis of causal relationships from natural language texts, specifically focusing on requirements engineering documents. So the findings were clear. Engaging in certain kinds of deception was linked to reduced feelings of closeness and trustworthiness with conversation partners, underscoring the importance of honesty in nurturing and maintaining meaningful social bonds. Now, it does make you distrust people when you know that someone has deceived you in the past, and I don't, however honest they come to you and say, well, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. You're still leery of that person. So lies have a great effect on life itself, and lies can cause life to be lost. It can cause confidence in people to be lost. There is so much that a lie can do. So we're all, thank God, we're all mature. And when we were little children, we told those things. And some of us, when we got in push come to shove, we might have fudged a little bit, okay? But thank God we don't do that anymore because we know the consequences. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being with me. God willing, we'll be here for the Mother's Board Inc. tomorrow at 1 p.m. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me on Point of View. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, night, afternoon, morning, whichever it is.